this company was not sold at a valuation that reflects profitability. This company was sold according to, I think it's recode.com or something. They reportedly said that the sale was between $20 and $40 million. Now, I need you to do basic math. Now, I saw black folks that were like, yay, hooray, we got bought by white people, hooray. Like, there are black people who are happy because what happens is they're very happy about this integration thing. Like, they're really happy when white people acknowledge us or buy us or whatever. Like, we want to be controlled and owned. We like when they bring us in. But the downside of that is not just the loss of power and control, but it's also, the fact that if you put 40 million into a company and you sell it for less than 40 million, then that's not a win, right? Like if you start a lemonade stand and you put $1,000 into the lemonade stand and you sell it for $800, that means you lost money, right? So basically, this was not a win for black people. So I think that it doesn't mean it was a complete loss. I mean, and it doesn't mean that Tristan is a bad person or that his company is doing bad business. I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying is that we got to stop automatically celebrating just because white people either bought us or gave us some money. Like there are people that get excited when they hear about a black business owner who was given, little girl gets $3 million for her lemonade company. Okay, that's good, but that means that that's either debt or that's equity. Equity means somebody else owns a big chunk of the lemonade company, or debt means, now she's in debt. And debt is okay. Debt is not a bad thing all the time, but just because somebody gets debt or equity, that isn't always necessarily a win for them or a win for the community. Because what happens also with venture capital money, this is why we never really pursued it, is that venture capital money for black people often means, number one, you have to then sort of get this approval from your partners who are typically going to be white, who are going to tell you what they're comfortable, with in terms of how you operate. And then two, somebody else, they're not going to give their money away for nothing. It's not a grant. It's not like a $3 million grant. It is $3 million in equity investing. They're owning a chunk. They're taking a chunk of control of that organization. So what I would say is that, with Tristan, again, I don't know Tristan. I don't know the situation with Bevel in extreme detail, but I can say a couple of things. A couple thoughts that come to mind is one, Tristan now has a boss. From what I understand, he reports directly to Proctor and Gamble's head of global beauty brands or something, right? So he has a boss. Now, what does that mean? Well, I thought about that and I said, how should I feel about this? How should any of us feel? And it's his company, so do we have a right to feel anything? Probably not. But I was like, how do I feel about this? And I thought about it and I said, okay, so he now has a boss, which means he no longer has the final say when it comes to, what this company does, who this company hires, or what they do with their money, right? He doesn't have that final say. Everything must be approved by Proctor and Gamble. So his ability to go in and really do the heavy lifting for the black community is somewhat constrained. Doesn't mean it's impossible, just means it's constrained. So let's say that Tristan was like, you know what, we want to keep it 100% black, y'all. We're going to hire nothing but black people up in here because I want to make sure the community's good. Well, he's got to get approval from Proctor and Gamble to do that, right? And the black people that he wants to hire may be different from the black people that they want to hire, right? Their definition of the acceptable Negroes is going to differ from his definition of the acceptable Negroes, right? So acceptability in terms of what types of black people you even want to hire is going to vary based on what his bosses tell him to do. He now is a man with a boss. Now, he is a man that probably will make money because I imagine he's still got ownership in Bevel. I imagine some of that money went back into his pocket. He's going to get paid. He gets to be the CEO of Bevel and his Walker, beauty products. And so somebody says, so he lost. I don't know if it's necessarily a loss for him. You see, I really believe that black people who get accepted into the white supremacist power structure, they are the chosen Negroes. They've received their good nigger sticker. The good nigger sticker is when white people find you as their darling, they like you, they think you're good, they whatever. And as long as you don't say anything that they don't agree with, that they don't like, you're going to be okay, right? So if he goes out and let's say he goes out and he starts talking about reparations a lot, and like black people deserve reparations because white people have stolen our wealth for 400 years, well, then suddenly Tristan Walker will be out of Proctor and Gamble. or if he says, being black is not the same as being gay, they need to stop putting the LGBT agenda ahead of the black agenda, right? If he says something like that, well, Tristan Walker, they'd be announcing, well, we have parted ways with Tristan Walker, and unfortunately, his unfortunate words have led us to conclude that Tristan is not appropriate. He's not an appropriate fit for the Proctor and Gamble ideology and brand, which believes in the equality of all people, right? Like, so basically, he does not have the freedom that he would have had as the boss of his own company, but that does not mean that it's a total loss for him. The other thing is that Tristan is the beneficiary. This is really something that Tristan has to think about, is that, he's kind of, it's like a Jackie Robinson effect. Tristan Walker is a guy who, he could be in the hood, roughing it out with the rest of us, working it out with black folks and trying to build in the black community. But, they saw him and some white person took him under their wing and said, we like you, Tristan, and I want to, sleep better at night. So I'm going to give you $40 million to sell your razors. And that's nice, but Tristan isn't really, the question becomes exactly in what exact way does Tristan as a business developer impact the black community? Doesn't mean he can't, it just means he has to think about this, right? So that Procter and Gamble gig is not necessarily gonna do a whole lot, because to some extent you got a glorified job now. Now you got a job. You're just a successful black person with a job. And the thing about successful black people with good jobs, with working for white folks, is that they don't always have the ability to do what is necessary for the black community. That company is now Procter and Gamble's company. So when those razors get bought, that money is going to hit Procter and Gamble's bottom line. It's different from, if you're buying, LaQuisha's razors, where LaQuisha is a single mom. I know I'm being an asshole by picking such a stupid name, but her razors are being sold to black people, and the money is coming into her company, and she's hiring black people and right in the black community. So that money's funneling right back into the black community. If you look at Procter and Gamble, that money, the profits from Bevel razors, will go to the shareholders of Procter and Gamble, who are majority white, right? So the profits are not funneling back into the black community. There may be a couple of jobs created for black people within Bevel, because they need black people to be able to help them sort of translate and figure out what black people want. But the issue, the challenge, is that a lot of those profits are not going right back into the black community. It's like the Black Panther movie. For Disney to make the Black Panther movie, they had to hire black people to understand what black people want. And then they would hire, but they would only hire as few black people as they could get away with without having to have too many black people running around there. So they would hire a few black people to help them, translate what black people want to see on screen. And then they'd hire a bunch of white and Jewish writers who would sit back and kind of put it to life on screen. But then they'd have the black director who they would parade as like, okay, look at us. We got this black director who's directing this movie for black people. It's great. It's great. Come buy this movie, like pay for this movie. But that money, let's just be clear, that money goes back into the hands of Disney shareholders who are not majority black, right? Doesn't mean it's a bad loss. Doesn't mean it's a terrible thing. It just means it's not as impactful as we might think. And also it means that when we celebrate the Black Panthers, or we celebrate the Bevels being eaten up by the Procter and Gambles, we must be cautious of not over celebrating because white folks got so much money and they got so much shiny shit. You see, the benefit for Bevel of being connected with Procter and Gamble is they get access to Procter and Gamble's global distribution network, so they can get their products everywhere. They get access to Procter and Gamble's massive, I think they spend $7 billion, their $7 billion marketing budget. So you're gonna see Bevel being marketed everywhere. Just, again, Bevel's like the Black Panther for shaving. They also get access to a lot of expertise on how to sell a product, because Procter and Gamble have been good at that. They're very good at that. So Bevel will probably be a successful company because Procter and Gamble bought it. But the question is, will they be more of an effective asset for the black community? We know that they're an effective asset for Procter and Gamble, but do we know if they're going to be an effective asset for black people? My answer is that it's mixed. It depends. I don't see it as an asset for black people in the sense that it's not much different from, say, BET, right? BET is a company that markets to black people, that's owned by whites, where the profits from BET come back into the hands of shareholders at Viacom who are majority white. And also the agenda of BET is going to be what's the word? The agenda of BET is going to be one that is shaped by the leadership at Viacom, right? Now, BET might still do some of the things they want to do. You know, it's almost like if a man or a woman, or if a couple hires a maid, right, or a maid and a nanny to run the household, you know, when the couple's not looking, the nanny's going to have a little bit of power. The nanny will be able to, you know, if the nanny wants to let the kids have some cookies, you know, she can sneak them a cookie. If the nanny wants to take them to this movie theater over another one, she has that power, right? But at the end of the day, she can't do much of anything without getting the approval of the people that hired her. You follow me? So if the mom says, no, do not take my kids to the movies, the nanny can't take the kids to the movies, right? Or if the mother says, do not give my children sweets, and if I catch you, you're going to get fired, then she's not going to give the children sweets, right? So BET's kind of the same way. Bevel's the same way. It's like, you know, Bevel will have power to decide. Like, so Tristan's sitting there, he's deciding who he wants to hire. You know, most of the time, he can pretty much do what he wants, right? But then there'll be that moment where maybe he wants to make a hire or make a move that doesn't fit with what Proctor and Gamble ultimately wants. And that's when they step in and say, now remember, son, you know, we own this company. This is not your company. This is our company, right? So having a job, you know, a big job does give you a certain amount of power and leverage. But think about your own jobs, right? If you've ever had a job, right, you had a little power and leverage, but you never had as much power as the boss, right? So Tristan will always have power, but he won't have as much power as the boss. And I think that the reason I bring this up is because I think as Black people, sometimes we over celebrate when a Black person has a business that either gets funding from whites or has a business that gets sold to a big white company, because we like that. You know, we like to be sort of kept. We like to be acknowledged and received and accepted by whites. Like, we really are into this white supremacy thing, and we see acceptance by whites to kind of be a source of validation for us, and it's not a healthy source of validation. So I would have been just as proud of Tristan if he, you know, not gotten the 40 million from the venture capitalists. If he just, you know, said, look, I raised $1 million, you know, and I raised it in the Black community, or I raised $500,000, and I have this razor company, and I am making a profit with my razor company, but it's not as much of a profit as we'd be making if we were bought by a multi-billion-dollar corporation. So so it's very important to not over-celebrate, because every time you over-celebrate because somebody got invited in by white folks and given like a ton of money, like an amount of money that Black people can't give them, what you're doing is you're showing disrespect to the Black community, and you're elevating the white community, putting them on a pedestal because they have more money than Black people will ever have. So it's almost like you know, a child having one parent who feeds you every day, who loves you no matter what, who's always there for you, but then another parent comes along, Daddy Warbucks, and they have $1 billion, and you say, oh, I love this parent more because they can give me more money than my parents at home, where all they could do was feed me, but they didn't have a pot to piss in. You can't just celebrate money, because if you only celebrate money, then you're pretty much celebrating white people, because white people have all the money. So to kind of close on that, I think that I think that Tristan's coming, just to be more analytical in terms of the financials of it. I think that the venture capitalists made a bad investment by putting $40 million into a razor company. It didn't make sense to me back then. It doesn't make sense to me now. I remember I read a Forbes article 4 years ago where they said that he had a modest $9 million in funding, just a modest $9 million. I know business owners who have great business concepts who can't even get $9,000. You know, who can't even get $90,000. So, you know, the fact that he had a modest $9 million is just crazy to me. And it kind of shows the racial bias of Silicon Valley, which is why I don't really mess with them. That's another reason why the partnership is flawed, because if Procter and Gamble is racist, then his company will be racist, right? If Procter and Gamble is racist, then Bevel is bowing to a racist. And we know that most of these institutions, most of these corporations are racist in terms of, you know, how much diversity they have, how much they actually really do for the Black community, how much tolerance they have for ideas that are uniquely Black. I don't think these companies are ready. They're not evolved enough to truly be fair in terms of how they deal with Black folks. So I think that he's going to probably be a lot more frustrated if he has any sort of strong Black identity. Now, some people, though, they're comfortable with whites. Like Barack Obama, you know, he's half white, so he fits in very, very well with that. I would probably be a little uncomfortable. I'd probably feel like, gosh, I'm not my own man. I can't really help my community. These people are telling me what to do. They're making me do this dumb stuff. So I think that Tristan may end up feeling that way. But ultimately, from a financial standpoint, 40 million was too much. They probably should have taken that 40 million and chopped it up into 20 pieces and gave $2 million a piece. That's right. I'll make sure I do the math right. $2 million a piece to 20 different Black businesses that they wanted to be a part of, if they really wanted to sort of connect to the power of what's going on in the Black economy. But then again, I don't know if that's always a win for the Black community, because I don't know if we benefit when white folks kind of own everything. So, so again, I'm happy for Tristan. I think it's great. And whether he becomes an asset to the Black community is kind of up to him. But I think that one thing we cannot do is to feel like a person or him should be celebrated just because white people like him. Because what happens is white people will grab the most trifling Negro, not him, I'm not saying Tristan's trifling, but they'll grab the most trifling sellout Negro and they will present him to you as some sort of beacon of success. And next thing you know, Black folks will be running around talking about, I want to be like him. And that's how you lose your greatest warriors. That's how you lose your greatest assets in the community, is because all your smartest kids, all your most capable young people are running around here trying to act like a coon because they want to get into the coon spaces. They're like, oh, if I act like so-and-so, then I can get my chance to kiss a white man's butt and get the white man to give me $10 million too. Well, that's not the solution for Black people. The solution for Black people primarily consists of developing and controlling our own institutions, even if these are not institutions that make as much money as white folks. It's going to take about 5 generations for us to make as much money as white folks with our institutions. So stop comparing, dollar for dollar with what they're making. Because if you're sitting there and you're making $500,000 a year and you can make $10 million a year, a partner with white folks, then why wouldn't you do that if money is the most important thing in the world to you? That's why you got to let go of the need to feel like, okay, the more money I make, the more successful I am. And instead look at it as, I'm making enough money to survive. I'm making enough money to help a lot of people. I'm making enough money to do what I need to do. And I'm having maximum impact. And I'm not diluting my impact by chasing the money and allowing other people to just take control of everything. And that's something all of us run into if you become more successful. I've run into that, where I've had scenarios where I've kind of tinkered with and tested out various partnerships. But in every situation, I always made sure I maintained control. I always made sure that I was always the boss. I was always the CEO. I always had the final say. And sometimes the partnerships worked. Sometimes they didn't. And when they didn't work, believe me, I would start saying, okay, let's divest, let's diversify, let's get away from this and let's move more toward that or whatever. Because at the end of the day, you got to own and control your space. If you're Black and you're running businesses, you got to own and control your space. At the same time, there's still room for partnerships. So I think that for Tristan, I would have probably been happier if Tristan just had a partnership with P&G like he has with Target. With Target doesn't own the company. Target just says, hey, we'll distribute your products. Just give us a cut of the money. That's cool. If Target says, hey, we'll help manage your brand and get it out there to people, and we'll come work for you, and we'll be partners, and we'll give you 80% of what we sell, or 50%, or whatever number you come up with, but yet that's your company. That's the kind of partnership that I think I could be more comfortable with. Proctor and Gamble is like literally like this is Bevel, and Proctor and Gamble's like, oh, like they literally just ate up the whole damn company. And so now there is no Bevel anymore in the way Bevel used to be, right? That old Bevel, that Black-owned business, is no longer in existence. Procter and Gamble came along like the Death Star and just ate Bevel up. And that is a reality that I think Tristan can't dispute. I think that it's just a fact. Doesn't mean Tristan's a sellout, Uncle Tom, piece of crap. Not saying none of that, but it does reflect what I see as a financial expert, but maybe there's more to it that I don't know. So if Tristan or somebody that knows him is watching this video, feel free to reach out, shoot me an email to my manager at boycewatkins.com, and I'll bring him in and maybe he can give another perspective. So anyway, that's it. I'm about to go. So do this, hit the thumbs up button if you're on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, please hit that thumbs up button. Also, if you haven't taken a look at our Black Stock Market Program, feel free to go to theblackstockmarketprogram.com. I'm teaching thousands of people how to invest in the stock market at a very low cost. So you can go to theblackstockmarketprogram.com. It's an excellent gift for your kids and your family. And also blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com is where we educate the babies. blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. And so please check that out. So I'll see you guys soon. Have a great day. I love you all. And sorry about the interruption earlier. You have a good day. Peace.